Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's broadcast. First, we apologize that um, we had to change the time only for this Sunday for various unavoidable things that happened. Um, our topic for today is whether non Muslims will invariably go to hell. And unfortunately, Muslims are very good at inviting criticism and people to throw stones at them, etc. Such questions arise, for example, from a fatwa by Muhammad al Munajid, who says basically the point is not this is about when whether someone will go to heavens or hell. The point is not whether their morals are good. Rather, the point is whether they submit to Allah and obey His commands. And this is really uh, in contradiction to Islamic teachings, because for a start, as we will see, God has not authorized you and me to judge people. It is for God to judge, and He says so. And He says, surely those who believe and those who are Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and does good, they have their reward with their Lord. There is no fear for them, nor shall they grieve. So here we see that it's not just the Muslims, but anyone, all those who believe, and then specifically Jews and Christians and a religion called Sabians are mentioned. And it is said, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and does good. So it doesn't matter whether you believe in Allah or not. If you don't do good deeds, if a believer goes out and steals or rapes or does something else that's equally bad, do you think he will go to heavens just because he believes in Allah? No, he won't. God will judge. God will judge each person for uh, their deeds. This is not a concept that is prevalent in other religions. For example, in fact, it's quite interesting that in Judaism, some people say there is no hell in Judaism. But if you look at uh, Rosh Hashanah, for example, which is like a book of Sharia for the Jews, it says it says or mentions hell on page 17a. In Judaism, it says it's called Gemara. And on page 17, it says it depends on the level of uh, Ihinnum, very similar to Jahannam. Uh, and there are 7 levels, and you will descend to a level depending on the sins you have committed, violating Sabbath, and so on, um, and wasting seed and causing others to sin. So, for all these things, and because obviously, if you're saying Islam is the right religion and getting Jews to embrace Islam, then according to that, you're inciting others to commit sin. So you will go to hell. And if you turn to Christianity, we find that in John 3:36, it says, "Whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, and whoever does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God remains on him." So, what does that mean? That means that unless you believe in the fact that Jesus died for you on the cross, you will go to hell. And it's in Acts 4, verse 12, and where Peter says, "There is salvation in no one else but Jesus, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved." So, this is what I was saying, that belief in Jesus, not only Jesus, but the death of Jesus on the cross, the cursed death, is necessary. And all those who don't accept that, they will uh, go to hell. And interestingly, the next quotation from 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 8 is interesting. And Paul says there, "Christ will return in flaming fire, inflicting vengeance on those who do not obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus." And you can see this is very similar to Muslims saying that when the Messiah will come, he'll come with the Mahdi with the sword and inflict vengeance on everyone, etc., etc. Apart from the last bit where it says, "Obey the gospel of our Lord," Muslims replace that with the "embrace Islam." But that is, I'm just sidetracking just to point out that Muslims have copied many things which are not in the Quran. They've copied them from other religions, particularly Christianity and Judaism, and so on. But the point I was making was that you cannot go to heavens unless you believe in um, the blood of Christ. And the same with Judaism. If you incite someone to sin, I work on Saturdays. And according to Jews, that's the day of rest. That's Sabbath. So I will go to hell, regardless of any good deeds that I might have done. But this is not Quranic teaching. The Quran says, for example, "Neither those who disbelieve from among the people of the book, nor the polytheists, like that any good should be sent down to you from your Lord. Allah chooses whom He pleases for His mercy, and Allah is the Lord of mighty grace." Now, listen to this word. Allah chooses whom He pleases. Wallahu yahtafu bi rahmatihi man yasha. So, that means it's up to Allah to decide who will go to heaven and who will go to hell, and not to you and me. And He can choose, although He's given broad principles, believe, do good. But it's up to Him. Just because you believe or just because you do good deeds, it doesn't matter. You won't necessarily go to heavens. But the point is, this sentence, "Allah chooses whom He pleases," means that the person He chooses may be a Jew, maybe a Christian, maybe anyone, any religion. It's up to God. It's not up to us to decide and choose. Similarly, it says, "Inna allazina amanu wa amilu salihati wa aqamu salata wa atu zakata lahum ajruhum inda rabbihim and wala khawfun alayhim wala hum yahzanun." Those who believe and do good deeds and keep up prayer and pay the poor rate. It's all ands, not or. Those who believe or pay the poor rate, or it's and. It's a continuous thing. And they have no fear. And their reward is with their Lord. And you notice that in many places, the word Muslim or Mormon is not mentioned. Um, Here is the verse, chapter 10, verse 26, where it says, "For those who do good is good, and more than this." So here, even believe is not mentioned. For those who do good. What I want to point out is that it's like a syllabus. Oh, here's another one. Say, it's telling the Holy Prophet Muhammad, say, "O my servants who have been prodigal regarding their souls, despair not of the mercy of Allah. Surely Allah forgives sins altogether. He is indeed the forgiving the merciful." This doesn't say Mormons, this doesn't say Muslims. "Oh my servants." The whole of humanity, in a way, is Allah's servants. So it's telling everyone, "O my servants who have sinned, despair not of the mercy of Allah." So if Allah is merciful, and like I said in the other place, that, it's up to Him to choose whom He pleases, and so on, uh, then He can choose a Jew or a Christian, any non-Muslim, for some deed that he has done. Now compare this with Christianity, which says that this is not possible. You have to believe in the death on the cross to be forgiven. And if you don't that, it doesn't. If you don't believe that, it doesn't matter how much good you do. You will not find salvation. You will not find uh, uh, forgiveness. You see, let me give you an example. Believing is like following the syllabus. If you want to become a doctor, you follow a certain syllabus. If you want to become a lawyer, you follow a certain syllabus. And but then when it comes to doing an exam, okay, you have one lesson on contract law, one question on contract law, one on family law, one on tort, one on immigration law. Now, do you think that if you get if your answer regarding family law is wrong, then you shouldn't get marks for tort and contract and immigration and so on? Would that be just? Would that be right? No, it won't be just and right. And it's the same thing with our deeds. The good deeds that we do, the answers, the questions that we answer correctly, we will be rewarded for that. We will get, like in our law exam, we'll get marks for that. The question we get wrong, we will be punished for that. We wouldn't get any marks for that. And it's exactly the same thing. And the other point I want to make is that, and in fact, the interesting thing is that this concept is not new, because people say to me, "Oh, you make up these things to sort of make the West happy and all this kind of thing." Interesting thing is that people going back 1,000 years have been saying that. Imam Ghazali, for example, who died in year 111, commenting on the verse of the Quran, "We do not punish anyone until we have sent a messenger. He said, this verse means not only that Jews and Christians who never heard of Muhammad can be saved, but also the Jews and Christians who've never had a full and authentic hearing of his miracles will be saved. They cannot be blamed, one might say, for their invincible ignorance. So this is Imam Ghazali saying that 1200 years ago. If you move forward a couple of hundred years ago, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, who died in 1328, and Imam Qayyim al-Jawziyah, who died in 1350. And interestingly, they are the leading lights followed by the Salafi movement, which is quite extreme. And they espouse similar ideas. Now, for Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, the very essence of hell is curative. Okay? It's a curative punishment. God's merciful nature is fundamentally inconsistent with the notion of eternal punishment. Everyone, including sinful Muslims and infidels, will be released from hellfire once they've paid the appropriate punishment for their sins. So this is not me saying that. People usually accuse me and say, "Oh, you live in England and you're always trying to please the Christians and the British and so on." You know, the sort of accusation that was leveled against the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. This is Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, who died in 1328. And that is the concept of hell and heaven. Let's take an example. A woman is pregnant. The baby is in the womb. That is the baby's whole world. Okay? Now, if the mother smokes, takes drugs, drinks, and so on, that is going to have a fundamental impact on the baby when it's born. Babies have been born who are addicted to heroin at birth because their mother was a heroin addict. And they have to stay in hospital and weaned off and etc., all this kind of thing. And then once they are cured, they can be sent home. And that's the whole point, that hell is regarded as a place for punishment. Yes, there is pain there, but it's actually a place for treatment. If your leg gets gangrene, it is painful. You go to a hospital and the surgeon amputates your leg, and it's very painful. But he's doing it to save your life. That pain is actually making the rest of your body healthy. Now, the soul is the same thing. Just like that baby in the mother's womb, the soul is inside us. Our whole body is a womb for the soul. And just like what the mother does and eats and drinks and so on, that impacts on the baby's physical health. What we do impacts upon our soul's health. When that soul is born, which is when the physical body dies, the soul is born. The state in which it's born depends on what this physical body had been doing. And just like that baby, if the baby was on, the baby's mother was on heroin, would take months and months and months of stay in hospital to be weaned off heroin. In the same way, our souls will need treatment. How much treatment they need will depend on the state that they're born in. And this is what people forget, that although there is pain, yes, there is pain. Do you think that baby born addicted to heroin doesn't feel pain when it wants heroin and it can't get it? Do you think the man whose leg is amputated because it's gangrenous, he does not feel pain, but that pain that is inflicted upon him is to cure him. And that is exactly the same thing with our soul, that they will feel this pain because of what our bodies did. We have these brains, and brains have the capacity to decide for themselves what to do and what not to do. So we are responsible for the development of our souls. So the souls will then have to be cured, whether they're Muslim souls or not Muslim souls. It all depends on the length we spend in hell or the length of treatment that we have to undergo. Depends on how ill is the soul that is born. And as I said, I read this out from Imam Ibn Taymiyyah 1,000 years ago because people said, well, these are newfangled ideas that you come up with and so on. And he said that hell is a place of curing people. So these are not necessarily new ideas, but an attempt to bring the correct old ideas in front of Muslim and non-Muslim alike. Ahad, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Assalamu alaikum. A very nice explanation and interpretation of the question which is asked in this, which is our topic today. That can non-Muslims go to Jannah? A Muslim perspective. So, I think all the particular points which you raised are really like they have answered the stuff quite nicely, but just to add my perspective, first of all, I would like to mention a few like rules or a few core principles from Islamic POV, from Islamic point of view, which are described as the like the core principles which are required for a person to go to Jannah. My intention and my reason why I am quoting this, I'll let you know after I have mentioned those. So let me first discuss the core beliefs which are required for a person to go to Jannah as per the Quranic interpretation and Islamic point of view. Right? So first core belief which is required for Jannah is Tawheed, monotheism. Because the foundation of Islamic belief is the oneness of Allah. Belief in Allah as the only deity of worship is a prerequisite for entering Jannah. How I say that? That is Surah Al Ikhlas, which is 112th chapter, verse number 1 to 4. Say, He is Allah, who is one and only one, the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, nor is there to him any equivalent. And then the second point which I would like to say is belief in prophets. Islam teaches that the belief in all the prophets, culminating in the finality of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is essential. It's said in Surah Al Baqarah, which is second chapter, verse number 285. The messenger has believed in what was revealed to him from his Lord. So and so have the believers. All of them have believed in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers, saying, we make no distinction between any of His messengers. Okay, one very important thing which I want to these were the basic criterias. There are more to them as per the Quranic interpretation. The theoretical way which I'm saying, the theory has more to it. But let me ask a very simple question. A very simple question, that is that we know Surah Ibrahim, which is 14th chapter, its last verse says that this, the Holy Quran, is sufficient message for whole humanity, guidance for whole humanity, so that they may take it as a warning and know that there is only one God, so that people of reason may be mindful. Okay, my reason of asking or saying all these theoretical points or principles was simply this, that this guidance or this like the Holy Quran, it was revealed to us by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, as per our question, I think one important thing which we need to realize is that the people who were born before Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? They were also present in this world. They also lived in this world, and they also did all the deeds and all. Now, considering the fact that they were born before Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they were not able to learn about Islam, and they were not able to get to know the Islam, right? So the reason why I wanted to mention this is that Quran itself says this in its chapter number 17, verse number 15, that whoever is guided is only guided for the benefit of his soul, and whoever errs only errs against it. No burden of burdens will bear the burden of other. Matlab, that means that one person will not bear the burden of other. And the important verse that comes here is, and never would we punish until we sent a messenger. Okay, now we are talking. Until we sent a messenger. See, this is the very important thing which we today also need to realize, that judging a person as far as we can't, as Shahid uncle also very nicely explained, that technically we are no one to judge. We can't judge. This judgment and this, the final, you can say, the decision, it is totally with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the thing which I want to say that is, even today, this is true in today as well, that after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the final prophet. After him, no more prophets can, neither old nor new, can come in this world. All right. So very important point to note here is that all those people, as far as statistics are concerned, even if you see today, Christianity is the world's biggest religion as far as the data is concerned, right? So what can you say? That the point which I'm trying to raise here is that the fact or the need of the hour today is that we, as the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, have to reach out to them in a peaceful way, which we call dawah, right? Because technically the thing is that those people in this world who are not aware of our religion, who are not aware of the the teachings of Islam, technically, since there will be no more prophets on this face of earth after Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was the final prophet, neither an old nor a new one would come. So this duty of propagation of Islam is at us, right? We have to reach out to people. We have to make them aware that this is the final. We as Muslims know this is the final truth, right? If a person accepts Islam, he is obviously he is then he bears the responsibility that he has to since he has the guidance now, so he will be judged accordingly, right? As I mentioned this particular verse, Surah Isra 15th which is chapter number 17, verse number 15, that we would never punish until we sent a messenger. What does it mean? This particularly means that we will never judge, Allah Ta'ala will never judge a person or a particular community until we sent a messenger or a warner to that particular community or a particular, you can say, that particular group, right? But once more, I would like to tell this, that when I said la ikra fid deen, there is no compulsion in religion. The clear way is surely distinct from the right way, from the wrong way, right? Why I say this is that humans are blessed with a special concept called the free will, right? Those people who are reached in the name of Islam, who are taught Islam, who are guided with Islam, who are explained that what our religion says, everything about it, and after knowing everything, after knowing that this is the truth, if they deny it, then that is a problem of concern. But if the person is not he dies in the state of you can say not knowing the guidance of Islam or not knowing about Islam, so I think as far as the Quran says, or as far as the mercy of Allah is known to us, he will be guided, he will be judged accordingly. You can't say that he will be bashed to hell and all, because obviously Allah Ta'ala is Ghafurur Rahim and Allah Ta'ala is most merciful. He is the best of the judges, right? He won't judge anyone I'm talking on the basis of his mercy and his fact that he's the best of the judges. I'm only talking about that. But Again, I would like to like clarify myself that this final judgment about any person or any particular community is totally his Allah's own decision. I am no one, or we are no one to claim something about it. We are no one to decide something about it. But yeah, I am talking only on behalf of his, on basis of his this fact that he's the best of the judges. So the best of the judges, obviously he himself says that we will not judge a particular soul or a particular community or a particular group of people unless we have sent them a messenger, unless they are warned. So I think what we need to realize here is that till the time a person, be a Muslim or a non-Muslim. See, at times what people think in today's world, that a person, if he recites the kalma, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, some people have this thing in mind that if you have recited this, it's prevalent in today's world that when you recite the kalma, you have some sort of a invisible shield to you. Like you have got an invisible shield that whatever you do in this world, you have, some kind of a particular like a guide card to you that you can easily enter Jannah whatever you do. That's not the case, to be very honest and very clear. That whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a non-Muslim, as Shahid Uncle also mentioned the verses, that Quran has always emphasized on good deeds, apart from, obviously, apart from belief in Allah and all those, the core principles. The main thing which will lead anyone to Jannah is the good deeds, right? So that is something that, even if you recite a Muslim recites the kalma and he's indulged in various stuff, like which are not he's not supposed to do, or which we say that he's indulges in haram activities. We can't say that that person, obviously if we talk about at the end of the day, it's all from Allah's mercy and stuff. But it's but obvious that a Muslim, if he is guided, if he has Quran, he will be judged in that way. He has more accountability. He has more, account of the, we can say, accountability. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. That so what I would like to conclude is that even in past and in today's world, the need of the hour, I think personally, is that, technically, to as a Muslim as well, we can't say that he will go to Jahannam or he will go to hell. You will go to Jannah. You will go to the, no, we can't. It's all based on Allah's mercy. If he wants, he can, he is the king. He is Al Malik. He's not like, there is a difference between Al Malik and Al Malik. He's both. A king particularly has some sort of a constitution or some sort of a jurisdiction. He's limited to that. But Allah Ta'ala is Al Malik. He is the sovereign ruler. He's the sovereign, you can say, the eternal ruler, right? So he's not limited to a bound of a jurisdiction. He can do whatever he wants. But again, the judgment he has, like, obviously he is the best of the judges. So that's what I would like to conclude by saying that, judging someone basis of, like on the basis of their religion, or saying that non-Muslims will definitely go to Jahannam, or a Muslim who claims to be a Muslim and is indulged in all the haram activities, he claims that, oh, I am saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, I'll go to Jannah definitely. This is not something which is Islamically correct. But at the end of the day, the need of the hour is we need to first of all realize and understand what our religion is all about. Quran is a guidance, that's true, but that guidance is for those people who actually got it, who actually received it. And since Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the final messenger, so technically this guidance, this Quran, Holy Quran, is a guidance for whole humanity now. So we can't, a person in today's world is, if he's unaware of it, that is something which is very rare, because this is the time of information technology. Today a person can't say that I do not have access to the Holy Quran and I don't have access to it. But yeah, if we consider all the perspectives, so we Muslim Ummah have this duty to reach out to our non-Muslim brothers that, okay, I know the truth, I know the, I have the guidance. So if you come to us, or if you listen to us with an open mind, I think may Allah guide you. right? That is the main thing I wanted to like add all to the Shahid uncle's points. And on I would like to conclude on final note that it's always crucial to remember that Allah alone is the eternal and the ultimate judge of who enters the Jannah. His knowledge and mercy encompasses all, and he will judge each person according to their circumstances, intentions, and understanding. So thank you so much for your attention. May Allah guide us all to the straight path. Ameen. Jazakallah khair.
Um, yes, yes. Um, it's a little bit, as I said, like following a syllabus. And if you ignore some parts of the syllabus, you'll be marked down. And for those parts of the syllabus that you have revised and practiced and so on, you'll get good marks.
True.
So, but it's only the examiner who can say who's going to get how many marks and who's going to go flying through and who's going to have to do a reset or who's going to fail and so on.
True.
So let's go to some questions here. What does Islam teach about the fate of non-Muslims in the afterlife? Now, you see, I would suggest that the question is wrong. Because in Islam, there is no such thing as fate of Muslims and non-Muslims and so on. It's each individual. So there are certain criteria, as Ahad was saying, belief in Tawheed. If someone doesn't believe in the existence of the divine being or doesn't believe in unity of Godhead, they'll be marked down for that. Belief in all his prophets. If they don't believe in that, then they'll be marked down for that. And righteous deeds. And if they do good deeds, let me give you an example. Mother Teresa, she gave up her worldly pursuits and interests, became a nun, and went and lived in slums of Calcutta from a very early age. And she would look after lepers. She would wash them, she would bathe them, she would clothe them, she would feed them, and so on and so forth. And do you think a just God will not reward her for those deeds? He'll just say, oh, you're not a Muslim, so, that's it. I don't care how many thousands of people you helped and fed and whatever else. Because you're not a Muslim, you're just going to go to hell. That is not the definition of a just God. God will say, well, you got this wrong and you got that wrong, but this was magnificent. And if he wants to, he can forgive anything that he wants to. He says, Allah, at the end of the day, it's for Allah to judge, etc. But as I said, we have to look at each aspect individually. We cannot say that, just because you believe in something and that is correct, if you don't do the right thing, the good deeds, then you'll simply be sent to heavens. We don't know who will be sent to heavens. Um, is it possible for a non-Muslim who has never heard of Islam to go to Jannah? Well, I recited a verse of the Holy Quran um, to this effect. The point is, you can't be judged for what you don't know, because that is against God's qualities of justice. And this is why God has sent messengers to every nation. Quran says, we sent every prophets to everyone. Some we mentioned in the Quran, and others we haven't. Do you think Aborigines of Australia uh, uh, were deprived of some prophet or other. Ahad, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add a small point that yes, no doubt, like as you mentioned, that they will be only judged on their like this knowledge and like the knowledge which was provided to them or their understanding. But one
Yeah,
small point which I wanted to say that there are some people who are mentioned as well, some group of people or some like you can say I would say some people that they were feeded with truth. They were guided with they were called towards Islam. They knew that this is the sign that all those like the prophecies were fulfilled. And when Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came and he said that I am the prophet of God and I am the person who has been prophesied in your books and who has been uh, told about in your books. But say even they knew that they identified him and they said that yeah, that this is the person who is mentioned. But still they were afraid to accept, or I don't know why they did that. But I just want to raise this point that if someone who is who is told us the truth, and if he deliberates, as I mentioned, there is the concept of free will to humans, that if they deliberately deny the truth, yes, then they are accountable to it. But yes, as you mentioned, that as far as they are not they don't have the knowledge about it, and as far as they are not known about it, but then Allah will judge them accordingly. But if someone deliberately denies the truth, and then he will be he will be judged according to that. So yeah, that would be something which I wanted to add. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. That's correct. But it's for God to decide whether it's deliberate or not, not for you and me. But there's actually one mistake that I just noticed in these questions and so on, and that is they talk about Muslims and non-Muslims. All prophets brought Islam.
Yes.
Moses brought Islam, Hazrat Ibrahim, Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Harun, all the prophets of Allah, Jesus Christ, they all brought Islam.
True.
There are many prophets, there are many people who may be prophets, we don't know. Quran says there are prophets that we don't know about because they're not mentioned in the Holy Quran. And what the Holy Prophet Muhammad did was, where people had gone astray from following the path revealed by God, he brought all nations back to God's path. I mean, we know that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam just went away for a few days. And when he came back, he found his people worshipping the golden calf and God knows what else. And he was very angry. And he had actually left Hazrat Harun with them to try and keep them on the right path, and etc. And that's an example of how quickly people can be led astray. Um, so, uh, what's the, what about people of other faiths who live righteous lives? Do they have any hope of entering Jannah? Yes, well, you see, this is what I keep on saying, that uh, Islam doesn't say you hell, you heaven. Islam says, okay, account for your deeds. Explain to me why you did this. And then I will decide. And, let me give you an example. A man is taken to prison, to court, and he is charged with 13 different offenses. You did this, you did this, you did this. And offense number one is presented, and he gives his explanation. And the judge says, yes, I accept that. It's okay. You're not to be punished by that, for that. And then charge number two. And the judge says, well, I don't fully accept your explanation and so on. but you're not going to get the maximum punishment, but you'll still get some punishment. Charge number three, yeah, yeah, that's fine. I accept what you say. Charge number four, I accept what you say. Charge number five, no, 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 I don't accept that at all. You're just making up stories. So I'm going to fully punish you for that. This is how judgment will take place. God won't look at my face and say, oh, right, okay, yeah, I remember. I'm going to send you to hell, or I'm going to send you to heaven. I don't know which one. So it's all you have to. This is what people forget, that you have to account for each deed, and amongst deed is your action of accepting or rejecting something. Uh, so, and this is what will happen to people of other faiths. It may be that a good Christian who's punished for his incorrect belief that Jesus is part of Godhead, I mentioned Mother Teresa, does such good deeds for the rest of humanity that God says, well, there'll be very little punishment for your sort of misdemeanor. But a Muslim who qualifies as far as the belief is concerned, he does such bad deeds. He usurps people's rights, he lies, he cheats, and so on. And God says, yes, I give you credit for believing the right thing, but I can't give you any credit for doing anything right because you haven't done anything. That is correct. So, I mean, we're talking about the hereafter. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, and we keep mentioning this over and over again, was so broad-minded that when Christians came to debate the truth of his claim and they wanted to pray, he let them pray in what's called Masjid al-Nabawi, the mosque of the Prophet in Medina, which is the second holiest place in Islam. How does Islam view the concept of salvation compared to Christianity? This is where, yes, Ahad.
Yes, sir. One small point I would like to add in the previous answer. So basically, it's a direct verse from the Holy Quran, that which is Al Anam, chapter number 6, verse number 160, which says that whoever comes on the day of judgment with a good deed will have 10 times the the reward
Yeah,
to his credit, and whoever comes with
yeah,
the evil deed will not be recompensed except like thereof, and they will not be wronged. Okay, one important
yeah,
point here we have to see that it's written whoever comes. It's not written that, if a Muslim comes he will be given
yeah.
extra reward, a non-Muslim comes he
That's
will be given, like some kind of a lower reward. Whoever comes,
yeah.
if he has
Whoever.
done a good deed, he will be like rewarded 10 times into his
Yeah,
credit, and if he does
yeah,
a evil deed, he will be recompensed to it like thereof. And one
yeah,
important point which is written here is that, they will not be wronged. So that means
yeah,
it is told to us that they will not be treated unjustly, which is again
yeah,
the Allah's one of the qualities, that he is the best of the judges. He can never
yeah,
be unjust to anyone, be it a Muslim or a non-Muslim. Whatever action we do, whatever action we do in this particular world, we have to be answerable for that. So
yeah,
yeah, that was something which I wanted to add. Thank you.
yeah. How does Islam view the concept of salvation compared to Christianity? This is a fundamental difference between Islam and Christianity, because Christianity says that you cannot achieve salvation through your own efforts. You have to believe in the blood of Christ on the cross. If you don't believe in that, then there is no salvation for you. Uh, it doesn't matter how many good deeds you do. And the verse that Ahad has just recited, that shows that Islam is completely the opposite, and it says that salvation is achieved through human effort, and God will not say what faith, what religion, what you follow, whoever does any good deeds, and whoever does any bad deeds, they will be rewarded or punished for that. And that is the fundamental difference between Islam and Christianity. Christianity says you cannot achieve salvation through your own efforts. You must believe in the blood of Jesus. Islam says you can only achieve salvation through your own efforts and mere belief in anything. Remember the verses I recited and Ahad recited, who believe and do and do good deeds. There's always this and of action. The belief on its own is not enough. Um, why does Islam emphasize belief in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for salvation? Well, God sent many teachers, many guides to tell their people how to get to God. And then, when we came to England, there, if you went to a different town, or if you wanted to go from one town to another, you bought a guidebook. There was an A to Z of London. You looked up where you wanted to go, and it said there it is, and you then figured out where you were, and then you figured out the way from A to Z. And then you looked at the map, which station do I get off at, and which way do I turn, right or left, and so on. And you kept on looking at the map and looking at street names and so on. Now, what do? I take my mobile phone out and I type in destination. SatNav tells it where I am, and a voice comes up and says, turn right and walk to street so and so. Would I still be using a London A to Z and flipping pages and finding out where this road is that I want to get to, and then figuring out, oh, this is where I am and how I'm going to get there or whatever? Which one would you use now? Everyone would use that. I'll give you an example. I was in the Punjab, in the Indian part, and I was going to Qadian, and the taxi driver that I took from Amritsar, he got lost. He didn't know where he was, and he kept on stopping and asking people. They kept on giving him contradictory sort of guidance. So eventually I said to him, stop it. Just follow my instructions. I got my mobile phone out and I typed in Qadian, and it said, drive along there, and then so many yards, turn left, and then turn right, and then go down this road. And it took us straight to the center of Qadian. And that is like believing in the Holy Prophet Muhammad. He gives you the shortcut, the shortcut to getting to God. Um, Also, remember, how many years ago did Buddha come to this world? And is that teaching he brought preserved as he taught it? What about Krishna? What about Moses? But we know that the teaching that was given to the Holy Prophet Muhammad has been preserved in its entirety in exactly the same way as it was delivered. For a start, during the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's lifetime, it was recited in Hajjat prayers. Um, so if he hadn't sequenced it, if people hadn't people couldn't have memorized it, and it was read out and it was checked. So we know that it's exactly as it was. There's been no deviation from that. And that is the point, that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the revelation he brought, has still been preserved, whereas the others, we've lost them through, ravages of time, languages have changed. We don't have the originals now, we only have translations. How accurate were the translations? We don't know. How good was the translator? We don't know. And a thousand other points of doubt. What happens to non-Muslims who do not believe in the Prophet Muhammad but follow their own religious teachings? Well, we've answered this 50 times. That let me say this: you're sitting a law exam, and the book you follow isn't the latest book on law, but it's the one printed 5 years ago. Do you think you're going to get good marks? In those 5 years, there have been Supreme Court judgments explaining certain aspects of the law. In those 5 years, there have been High Court decisions which clarify certain aspects of the law. But what you is studying, and the basis of your answers and knowledge, is something old and out of date, which has been surpassed. But that is not to say that if you get the answer correct, uh, you won't get marks for that. And that is the thing that that God will ask you, why did you reject? And this is a hadith that what explain why you rejected the final message. And God may or may not accept your explanation. You see, it may be that you explain by referring to people like Anjan Chowdhury, who was grooming people to become terrorists, and who was saying, go out, and if you go and kill a British policeman, you will go straight to heavens, and so on. And you're saying, well, that's what I understood Islam to be. And it may be that God accepts your explanation. But it, again, it's all about accountability, and whether you can justify your actions in believing certain things and actions in doing certain things. Is there any Quranic verse that says that only Muslims will go to Jannah? No, there isn't. That says only Muslims. That each individual will be judged on his own beliefs and on his own deeds, like belief in God, belief in last day, belief in day of judgment, uh, etc., etc. And then these are beliefs, and then there are deeds. So a Muslim, he believes in all these things perfectly, but doesn't act accordingly, will get marks for the deeds, but he'll fail the practical exam on deeds. And the same thing will apply to non-Muslims, as the verse of the Quran that Ahad
Yes, sir.
just recited.
Chapter number 6, verse
Whoever,
number 160. Yes, exactly.
yeah, yeah, whoever, not the word whoever, not Mormon, not Muslim, not Arab, not non-Arab, whoever. How does Islam reconcile the idea of just a merciful God with the concept of non-Muslims not entering Jannah? Well, Islam doesn't say non-Muslims will not enter Jannah. If we take Jahannam or hell to be a hospital, then once you received your treatment and you've healed, your sickness has been removed, then you're discharged from the hospital. And it's the same thing that will happen, that, if you need any treatment, then once that treatment is successful and you're healed, then there are only two places, hell and heaven. You will go from one to the other. So whether you were non-Muslim or not is neither here nor there. Uh, and Surah Bakra uh, says that Quran does not burden a soul beyond its capacity. So if someone didn't receive a message, then they don't simply have to say, "Well, no one told me about Islam, so how could I act according to that?" Uh, so those non-Muslims will go to the Jannah straight away. Can a non-Muslim convert to Islam be assured of entering Jannah? Uh, well, in a way, yes, but in a way, no, because just because you've embraced Islam, this is not going to a pop concert or a movie that you buy a ticket in advance and you can just turn up at the door and present the ticket, and they're going to let you in to see the Wimbledon final or the Paris Olympics or whatever. Becoming a Muslim is the first step, but then that has to be followed by all the good deeds, like propagation of Islam, like looking after the rest of humanity, and doing other good deeds. And of course, if you ask for forgiveness for any previous misdemeanors, then God will forgive you. How does Islam view salvation of righteous people who followed previous prophets before Prophet Muhammad? Um, well, that has been answered. The Holy Prophet Muhammad hadn't made his advent, hadn't made his claim, and in fact, each prophet, the religion, the guidance they brought was Islam, because it was the guidance that came from God about how to live and what to do to achieve salvation. Um, and so those people who believed and did good deeds, people at the time of Hazrat Musa, they can't be punished for not believing in the Holy Prophet Muhammad, or people at the time of David and Aaron and Jesus and other prophets. They can't be blamed for that. Um, and you have to have knowledge, you have to know, and you have to make a conscious decision to follow Islam or some other religion. And then on the day of judgment, you will have to explain that. Why did you do that? This is why God gave us a brain and free will. That it's up to us to decide, but there has to be an explanation why. You know, you can't just say the person who came and although he was speaking rubbish, I liked them and I liked his tie and his suit, so I thought, oh, that looks nice. I'll follow his religion. This is not the criteria that we look for. Um, but you need to provide an explanation. And but in various places, I recited a verse which says the Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, all those who believed in Allah and did good deeds. This is specific mention of those people who'd gone before the Holy Prophet Muhammad. But belief is always followed by action. You will not achieve salvation simply by believing. You know, if I just said, "Oh, I believe that the poor man next door should be fed and given some food," and didn't do anything about it, do you think God will say, "Oh well, he thought about the poor person next door should be fed, so that's okay. He's got salvation." Or would he then ask me, "Well, if you felt that the poor person next door is hungry and has no food, why didn't you get off your chair and go out and buy some food and give it to him? After all, you knew he was hungry. You knew he didn't have any food." So belief in itself is not enough. It must be accompanied by action. That is regardless of what your religion is. So, Ahad,
Yes, sir. So basically, regarding that particular question, that like only converting to Islam will guarantee Jannah, I would like to add few points on that. I would like to quote a particular hadith, which is in Sahih Bukhari, where Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying to his own daughter, "O Fatima, ask me
yep,
of my wealth, whatever you wish, but I have no power to prevent harm or bring benefit to you in the hereafter. It will be only your
yep,
deeds which will help you in the hereafter." A very important
yep,
point I want to tell, I want to, like, it's a small message as well for all our Muslim brothers as well, that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying this to his particular, like, his own daughter. We are his ummah. His daughter
yep,
certainly has a very upper rank, but still she was very dear to her. Still, she said to her that
Yeah.
I cannot benefit in the hereafter. It will be only your
Yeah.
deeds which will help you in the hereafter. So, one
That's
very
right.
important point which I wanted to highlight here is that Muslims, no doubt, they have a upper hand. Why? Because they have the guidance of Quran is just a guidance which will help you to get those special marks, which Shahid uncle explained. That belief is just like a like a syllabus. If you are following a particular, like maybe like the example of law book, that if you are following a book of which was released 5 years ago, and if you don't follow the latest book, so there are certain points which you may not get, but that's what I'm saying, that Quran specifically has also encouraged everyone. It has placed a strong emphasis on seeking knowledge and understanding, particularly regarding the faith and religious matters. How I say that? There's a particular surah in Quran which is named as Surah Al Alaq. The first verse of it is Ikra, that is read. Ikra
Yeah.
bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read in the name of your
Yeah.
Lord who created man from a clinging substance. Read, and your Lord is most generous, who taught man by the pen, taught man what he did not know. And
Yeah.
again in Quran, it is written in Az-Zumar, which is chapter number 39. Its verse number 9 says that, say, are those who know equal to those who don't know?
You
It's a
don't know.
question which is
Yeah.
asked, that only they will remember who are people of understanding. Okay, so what I mean to say here is, and one more important, very like simple reference I would like to give, that Quran at almost in every surah, or not every surah, but almost all through Quran, there is a very famous, a very frequently used word called Alam Tara. Have you not seen? Quran, Allah
Mm.
is asking the like people, have you not seen Alam Tara? Have you not seen? Like it's deliberately saying that use your brain, use it, see the like environment around you, get some knowledge, get the why it says that, because till the time we don't have the knowledge, how can we say that it is good or it is bad, or is it right or is it wrong? So Quran has
Yeah.
deliberately, it has told us that we as Muslims have this special duty, that we need to get the knowledge specifically of Quran and the other books as well, because only then you can justify, or you can technically like say that yes, Quran or Islam is the truth, or it is the ultimate guidance. Till the time we don't have the like knowledge, or we have half knowledge, that won't it is not encouraged in the holy Quran has said that till the time you don't have like complete knowledge over a subject, you should not speak about that. So that's what I
Let
wanted to add, that only like saying la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, it will not guarantee you Jannah, but ultimately it are the deeds that would help you in the hereafter. Rest, it's all
let
up to Allah, that He will like, even though if you do the deeds, and like whatever a person does, the ultimate decision is made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We particularly have no like we can't say anything about that, but we believe that He is the most merciful, He is the best of the judges. He will not like let us down, and He'll be judge us according to our own deeds. Jazakallah, that's it.
right. Let me answer this last question in another way, and then we'll wrap up because it's been an hour and a quarter, this broadcast. Um, if I'm studying a subject and I go out and buy the correct textbook, which is akin to this person embracing Islam, uh, yeah, this is the last question. Can a non-Muslim convert to Islam? Be assured. And if a person goes out and buys the right textbooks for some exam or other, but then doesn't open them and read them, do you think he'll get glowing marks in the exam? No, he's going to fail
True.
because although he's got the right textbooks, he hasn't acted upon them, and that is the point. Um, and the last one we've mentioned by quoting many verses of the Holy Quran and so on. So I think today's broadcast has been much longer than anticipated. So we need to wrap this up,
Sure,
unless you've
sure,
got
sure.
something. Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, I think for today, we technically, I think from all the references and all the verses of the Holy Quran, we tried to answer this particular topic, that can non-Muslims go to Jannah. So I think we were able to answer it in the light of Islam, and we tried our best to answer it, and we would hope that our small like discussion proves out to be helpful for many people who are seeking clarification on this particular topic, inshallah. And yes, I think by this we come to the end of this particular broadcast. And thank you everyone who were watching. Thank you so much for your attention, and I would like to pray that may Allah guide us all to the straight path. By this,
Amin.
I take your leave till the next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.